From time immemorial, the world has been sold to different ideologies that have shaped corporate response, determined economic policies of nations, influenced governments, social responsibilities, and orchestrated the enforcement of a wide range of environmental policies. One of such ideologies that has persistently outstayed its relevance in our world is the subject of global warming, or as more recently referred to, climate change.
Our story starts in 1896 in Sweden with this guy, Svante Arrhenius, a chemist. Arrhenius is the first person to figure out that putting CO2 into the atmosphere could make the Earth warmer. The phrase global warming makes its first appearance in a 1975 research paper. Temperatures keep rising throughout the 80s, and 1988 is the hottest year ever recorded to that point. This gets people's attention, and global warming starts to enter mainstream public awareness for the first time.
They used to call it global warming. When they found out that wasn't getting the traction, because places they said would get warmed up started getting cold, so they used a more generic one, climate change. So whether it goes cold or but they said everything was going to get hotter and hotter. Some places got colder and colder. So they said, all right, climate change, whatever change, there's going to be a change.
They just keep being proven wrong. Now, when I was a kid, I was told it was global warming. Hide under your desk, kids. The polar bears are going to drown because there's global warming. But they stopped using that language around 2011 because accidentally the Earth started to cool and disproved their narrative.
I read the original UN study years ago, and I was just curious as to how they were going to deal with the question that the temperatures went up first, and then there was the increase in carbon dioxide. Right. Because you can't say that A causes B if B happened first. And so I read this, and I could see they were tiptoeing through the tulips and the way they phrased things and so forth. They couldn't confront that. And now we're finding out that they knew darn well they couldn't deal with all the evidence.
One of the gimmicks of the perpetrators of the climate change narrative is citing scientific validations to prove the legitimacy of this climate prophecy. This has ensured it remained in the public domain. However, the scientific validations have proven to be void of credence, especially when subjected to global best practices in science as we know it.
Everywhere you go, they're talking climate change. It's a hoax. Listen, and listen hard. Human beings take in oxygen and emit carbon dioxide. Plants produce oxygen and they use carbon dioxide. Now, it's easy for us to know that we do emit carbon dioxide. All right? You have to study some more to realize that plants actually give up oxygen and use carbon dioxide. You can't just know, because you know you breathe. You inhale oxygen. You exhale carbon dioxide. But you don't see plants. You don't see that happening with plants. You don't know. You don't know by looking. There had to be some further study to come to that conclusion. So it would have been easy for us to say, now, if we increase in the world, we're gonna consume all the oxygen. We're gonna consume it. And I dare say, all the oxygen in the world is not given by plants only. But you know, they think that God was a fool for saying, go into the world and multiply. God, he didn't know he needed more oxygen. So the hoax is about carbon emission.